There's a strange moment that happens to almost everyone who starts making more money. You get the raise, you land the better job, your bank account finally has a number in it that your younger self would have been thrilled to see, and yet, you don't feel rich. You still check prices before you buy things. You still feel a small flash of guilt ordering the more expensive meal. You still lie awake sometimes wondering if you're actually behind, even though on paper you're doing better than most people your age. So here's the question worth sitting with for the next few minutes. If more money was supposed to fix that feeling, why didn't it? The honest answer is a little uncomfortable. It's not because you're bad with money. It's not because you haven't made enough yet. It's because feeling rich was never really about the number in your account in the first place. It's about something happening quietly inside your brain, something almost nobody explains to you, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let's start with the mistake almost everyone makes. Most people assume wealth is a destination, a finish line. Somewhere out there is a number, and once you cross it, the anxiety switches off and the feeling of, I made it, switches on. Maybe for you, that number is a six-figure salary. Maybe it's owning a home. Maybe it's a certain amount sitting in investments. The problem is, almost nobody who reaches their number actually feels done. They just quietly move the finish line further away and start running again. Someone making $40,000 a year dreams of 80. The person making 80 dreams of 150. The person making 150 is stressed about people making 300. Even people who are, by any reasonable definition, wealthy, often describe feeling behind. This isn't a coincidence, and it isn't a personal failure. It's a pattern. And once you understand where the pattern comes from, the whole thing starts to make a lot more sense. Here's the core idea, and it's simpler than you'd expect. Your brain doesn't measure wealth in absolute numbers. It measures wealth in comparison. Think about temperature for a second. If you step out of a cold shower into a normal room, that room feels warm. If you step out of a sauna into that exact same room, it feels cold. Same room, same temperature, completely different feeling. Your body isn't measuring the actual temperature of the room. It's measuring the difference between where you were and where you are now. Money works almost exactly the same way in your mind. You don't experience your income as a fixed amount. You experience it relative to two things, where you used to be and where the people around you are. That's it. That's the whole mechanism quietly running in the background every time you look at your bank account and feel something other than satisfaction. Let's break both of those down, because they explain almost everything. The first one is what psychologists call your reference point, and it moves faster than most people realize. When you get a raise, there's a genuine burst of happiness. For a little while, you feel richer. But your brain is not built to sit in that feeling forever. Within a few weeks or months, your new income becomes your new normal. The apartment that once felt like an upgrade now just feels like your apartment. The salary that once felt exciting now just feels like your salary. Your brain quietly resets the baseline, and suddenly you need the next raise to feel that same spark again. This is the same reason a new phone feels amazing for about 2 weeks and then just becomes your phone. It's the same reason your first higher-paying job felt thrilling, and your current, even higher-paying job might feel completely unremarkable. Nothing about the money changed. What changed is that your brain adjusted its baseline and started measuring from a new starting line. This alone would be enough to explain why chasing a number never quite delivers the feeling you expect. But there's a second force at play, and it's arguably even more powerful. The second one is comparison, and this is where a lot of the quiet financial stress in people's lives actually comes from. Picture two people. The first person earns $70,000 a year, and everyone around them, their friends, their coworkers, their neighborhood, earns around $60,000. The second person earns $90,000 a year, but everyone around them earns around $110,000. Who do you think feels richer? On paper, the second person makes more money, $20,000 more, in fact. But study after study on income and happiness finds the same surprising result. The first person, the one earning less but surrounded by people earning even less than them, usually reports feeling more financially secure and satisfied. The second person, despite the higher salary, often feels behind, stretched, and quietly inadequate. That's the trap. You're not actually comparing your money to some neutral, objective standard of enough. You're comparing it to the people in your feed, your friend group, your industry, your neighborhood. And here's the cruel twist. As you make more money, you tend to surround yourself with people who make more money too. You move to a nicer area. Your friend group shifts. Your social media algorithm quietly starts showing you people a rung above where you used to be. So the moment you climb one level, the comparison resets to the next level up, and the feeling of catching up never actually arrives. This is why a person earning $200,000 a year can genuinely feel financially anxious if everyone in their circle appears to be earning more. It's not irrational, it's not ungrateful, it's just your brain doing exactly what it evolved to do. Measure your position relative to the group, not in isolation. Now here's where it gets interesting, because once you see this pattern clearly, you start noticing it everywhere in your own life. That feeling of, almost there, just need a bit more, isn't a signal that you're actually close to some finish line. It's a signal that your comparison point moved right along with you. It's a treadmill, not a staircase. On a staircase, every step gets you higher, and you can look down and see how far you've climbed. On a treadmill, you can run as hard as you want, and you're still standing in exactly the same place, just more tired. This explains something that confuses a lot of people early in their financial life. Why lifestyle upgrades feel amazing for a moment and then completely disappear into the background. The nicer car, the bigger apartment, the subscription to the premium version of everything. Each of these things gives you a genuine little spike of satisfaction, and then, almost like clockwork, it fades and becomes invisible. You stop noticing the nice car, you just see it as your car, and now your brain is quietly looking for the next spike. This is sometimes called the hedonic treadmill, and honestly, once you know the name for it, you start spotting it in almost every purchase you make. So if chasing a bigger number and a nicer lifestyle doesn't actually deliver the feeling of being rich, what does? This is the part most people never get told, so pay close attention here, because this is genuinely the shift that changes everything. The feeling of being rich doesn't come from the size of your income. It comes from the size of the gap between what you earn and what you spend. Two people can earn the exact same salary and live in completely different emotional worlds. One person spends almost everything they make trying to keep up with their circle, upgrading their lifestyle every time their income rises. The other person lets their income rise while keeping their lifestyle mostly where it was and quietly funnels the difference into savings and investments. The first person will always feel like they're one paycheck away from stress no matter how much they earn because their expenses are always chasing their income. The second person builds something the first person never gets access to: margin, breathing room, the quiet, deeply underrated feeling of having more coming in than going out. That margin is where the actual feeling of financial security lives, not in the size of your salary, not in the brand of your car, in the gap. This is also, by the way, the entire secret behind people who build wealth slowly and quietly over time. The ones who don't look rich, don't post about it, and yet somehow retire early or build serious investment accounts while people earning double their salary are living paycheck to paycheck. They're not earning some secret hidden income. They simply refuse to let their lifestyle rise every single time their income did. They kept the gap wide, and they let time and compound growth do the rest. So here's the practical shift, the thing you can actually take with you after this video ends. Stop asking, how much do I need to earn to finally feel rich? That question has no finish line, because your brain will keep moving the target no matter what number you hit. Instead, start asking a completely different question. How wide is the gap between what I earn and what I spend? And is that gap growing or shrinking over time? That single shift in focus changes how you make decisions. It changes how you feel about a raise, because instead of immediately upgrading your lifestyle to match it, you start protecting some of that gap first. It changes how you look at other people's spending, because you stop assuming their lifestyle reflects their actual financial position. Plenty of people who look rich are simply people with a very narrow, very fragile gap, one emergency away from real trouble. And plenty of people who look completely ordinary are quietly building real wealth in the background, simply because they understood this one idea early. Here's the thought worth carrying with you. You will probably never reach a number that makes you feel permanently, unquestionably rich, because that feeling was never really about the number to begin with. It was about the space you build between what flows in and what flows out. Widen that space, protect it as your income grows, and something interesting happens. You stop chasing the feeling of being rich, and you start actually living it.